I've been wanting to make a full-size lay figure, an artist mannequin, for quite a few years now. So I started by experimenting making the fingers and the finger joints. I tried a few different ways of doing it, making jigs to cut the slots and things, but it didn't really work very well. Eventually I did it this way, making a little ball joint, fitting in like that. And that seemed to work, so I decided to go with that one. So I produced this like a prototype of a hand. It's the proportions aren't too good, it's too big. That finger should be in line with that join there. The thumb's too long, they lean over a little bit. It just doesn't look right, so it's too big anyway, it needs to be a smaller hand. But it came out okay, everything seems to work alright. So I'm going to make obviously a pair of hands first. It's going to take me quite a while to do this because it's like a pet project for myself. So it's just going to run on a bit. But the first thing I'm going to do is make these little knuckle joints. So to make these joints, I start out with a piece of beech that I plane up square, put a mortise and tenon in at the ends, cut it in half, then push them together. That goes on the lathe, spin it up, turn it into a cylinder, mark the centres of the tenon, drill a hole straight through, put a dowel in, and then put it back on the lathe and turn it this shape using templates. I'm going to glue these together to form these. Now this one I did just from a square block, and I put it in a jig, cut the groove and cut the shoulders on the saw. But I think this is a better way of doing it. So I'll glue them together like that. So to make these, I use these templates. So I have the right size hole, which fits in there. So that's the correct diameter. And then that piece has to line up so you get the right shape, so that when it bends, it all stays flush. That one's out a little bit, but if I bend it the other way, it's fine. So as long as I use it in that direction, that one's fine. Most of them will come out well. A little bit like that you can just about get away with. I'm going to have to make some smaller than this. The smallest template I've got is a 13mm ball, and I want to go down to maybe 10mm. So I'll do a 10, 11 and a 12, and I'll cut them out of this thin sheet of plywood. This is the smallest one I've done so far, that's a 13mm. The spigot on that side is 8mm and this one's 10. But if I'm going to make smaller ones, I'm going to go for an 8mm spigot on both sides. So these are the 3 templates. They're very small. That one obviously is only 1mm in. I'll make some more of these up with a thinner tenon and a shorter tenon, and I'll have a attempt at doing these and see how it goes. So these are the blanks ready for turning. The 10mm one is about 11.5mm. The 11 is 12.5 and the 12 is 13.5. Just gives me a little bit of clearance. So they'll go together now, and I'll stick them on the lathe and turn them up and see what they come out like. I'll mark it halfway. And I'll be able to cut that in half. I'm just marking them so I know which side is which. I don't really like using scrapers between centres, but because this has to be so accurate, I wanted to concentrate entirely on getting the shape right rather than avoiding getting a catch. It's pretty close. So the template sits there quite nicely. This is a 16mm. That looks right. But the only way to test it is to knock that pin out, move it round and put the pin back in and see if everything lines up again. And that looks spot on. So now I have to trim these ends with a chisel, round them off, sand it up, and that's one joint done. That's the biggest one that I do out of this for the hand. It does run out a little bit, but it's nice and tight and it's good enough. That'll work fine. So those are the three small ones, 10, 11 and 12mm, and they go all the way up to 16mm. I'm not sure how many of each one I need. I'll have to work it out and then make all the rest